I'm Harley. So this is Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 5, Eastwatch. Or as I like to call it, seeing is believing, because that's what this episode is all about to me. We open on Bronn and Jaime crawling out of the river, so Jaime did not die yet. Really, I think this is Jaime's point where he is really just, he's put together like the threat that is really in front of them. Talking about dragons and talking about Dothraki war tribe and talking about the Unsullied is all well and good until you see them fight, until you see a dragon mow down 1,000 soldiers and carts and all of that in front of you. Now, way to go, Jaime, for trying to take out a dragon, but goddamn, it was really a bad choice. So now he has to go tell Cersei about this and try to talk some sense into her, which doesn't end up going so well for him. He is like really put out by this. He's trying to think of it rationally, that if they want to live, they can't go up against 3 dragons. And Cersei's point is there's no other choice. They have to fight. They have to fight or they have to die, because there's just no in between. Dany's not going to let them live, being who they are and what they've done. And they can't ask for a truce because it's not going to be... Cersei can't go back. I think that's the point. She's been at her lowest point and she's not willing to go back. And then reveals that she's pregnant. So there's this whole other level to her needing to survive and needing to, get back some semblance of family. It's down to her, just her and Jaime now. And I think she's really trying to just keep it all together. And in doing that, to be queen, she has to be strategic because there's wolves at every door wanting to eat her. So I think I understand what Cersei's end game is. She knows that there's no other way to live. There's no going off and retiring in the woods or something. So she's got to be strategic. Really, Zelda? Really? She's got to come up with a plan. And so Jaime can be easily excitable, I think. He's usually pretty level-headed, but it's a freaking dragon. He just literally stared into the jaws of a dragon. And it would unsettle anyone, I think. So he's trying to be realistic about it, and at the same point, so is she. I can't even read my own handwriting. Wow. I made notes, but apparently can't read them. So after Jaime is on his way back to talk to Cersei, we get to see Dany. And the thing is, my question for you is, do you think Dany went too far? Now, she did give Dickon and Randall Tarly a choice. They could have chosen to follow her, but they had an oath and they had pride, and it got in the way. And then, so they chose death. But I wonder if they knew they were going to get set on fire alive instead of beheaded, as was the custom, if they would have made the same choice. I think it was really kind of foolish, and I wonder if Randall would have made the same choice had he known that his son was going to follow him in that choice, because the things we do for ourselves are not necessarily the same choices we make when our children are involved in those choices. So I think maybe if he would have known that Dickon was going to do that, that he would have, that Randall Tarly would have maybe sucked up his pride and done something different. But to some extent, I think maybe he was just tired of all of it. He's served, 2 kings now and a queen? 2 queens, really. So I think at some point he's just tired of it all, of all of the politics of it, and he's just ready to make his stand and be done with it. So Tyrion is really trying to give Dany other choices, but Dany's point is that if she doesn't make a stand now, if she doesn't put her foot down now, that everyone is going to think that there's a way to bargain with her and that there's a way to get what they want out of it. And really, she's done with that, right? She's done enough bargaining. She's in Westeros now. and she has to prove what kind of leader she will be. And to some extent, that means she has to be a little bit ruthless. And if she has to be ruthless to 2 people rather than be ruthless to hundreds of people, then that is what she'll have to do. Hopefully setting this tone will keep others from making that same choice. And I think ultimately that was her thinking, and not really trying to be, and I think that was her thinking with the dragon too, by using the dragon. Like, if it's really, really brutal, then the choice is going to be made for everyone else already. It's not even going to be a question when she goes to the next town. They're already going to be on her side, because nobody wants to stand up against a freaking dragon. And I think that she's really banking on word of mouth of this spreading, so that she doesn't have to continue to be this brutal in the future. As a side note, I have to say I loved her outfit in this scene. I want her coat. I really have to set up my Amazon wish list, because if anybody knows where I can find one of those, I want it yesterday, because winter is coming in my part of the world. We also in this episode really get to see Sansa and Arya together. I mean, in the last episode they reunited, but in this episode we kind of see them dancing around each other and figuring out what their new roles and their position is. Sansa, as Lady of Winterfell, she has to, hear all of these complaints from their, bannermen, and appear to be taking in their point of view, but really ultimately saying that they're going to do what they're doing. It's one of those okay, I hear you moments, but I still have a plan and we're still going to follow my plan. But she has to at least let them think that she's understood what they're saying, and that she's, at least taking their thoughts into consideration. But she's a young woman in a society that doesn't necessarily follow women very easily. And it's not the leader that they chose. They want Jon back, understandably. But he can't be in all places at once, so they have to trust that she's got their best interests at heart too. But this is the first time Arya has really seen her be in this position and have to delegate all of these things, and have to really play this political game that Arya really doesn't have. Not necessarily that she doesn't have the head for it, but she doesn't have the desire to do it. She's been a one-woman show for so long and just made her choice, and her choice has been the final choice, that I think it's hard for her to see that it takes a team to do to accomplish certain tasks. She's been forced to do so many things on her own for so long that it's easier for her just to say, if I want it done right, I'll do it myself. But that's not really a choice for the whole world, and especially going forward in this war that they have coming up against the White Walkers. It can't be a one-person army. It's got to be all people working together, and that's what Sansa's trying to do, is just keep everybody maybe not happy, but placated, so that they will keep doing what they need to do and still stay a unified front. And that's hard to do. That's a lot of different roles to juggle. And it's nice to kind of see them, working together, but getting to know each other again. And Arya's getting really suspicious of Littlefinger, which rightly so. I mean, come on, he is a shady little dude. He just has he's just into everything, and it annoys me because I just want to know what his end game is. At this point, I just don't see what he's doing. He's exactly where he needs to be, and I think all his meddling is just going to work against him. What else? So Tyrion advises Dany that the only way that they can get Cersei on their side is to show her, again, seeing is believing, to show her a White Walker. Because she's not going to believe it. She just thinks that it's fairy tales and stories at this point, and that it'll just be a ploy to get Cersei in a room with Tyrion and Dany, and Cersei has nothing else but murder on her mind, either killing them or believing that they're going to kill her. So the only way that this can be done in a way that will prove to her that they don't want to have a war with her at this moment, and that they really do want to go after the White Walkers, is to get a White Walker. The only way to do that is to go beyond the wall and try to capture one out of the horde of 10,000 of them that are marching towards Eastwatch on the sea, which is what Bran sees in his vision with the crows, that that's the castle that they're marching to, and probably their easiest way to pass. They don't swim, but they can go underwater and live. So if all they have to do is walk to the end of the wall and then go into the sea and walk around it to the other side, that's the easiest way to do it. So Tyrion convinces, well, it doesn't really have to do much convincing, honestly. Jon kind of volunteers to take a group and go go through the wall and try to accomplish this huge task. In this, when they're arranging all of this, Tyrion has to go and talk to Jaime at King's Landing to try to see if Cersei would even be willing to listen to them, if they can make this happen. So while he's doing that, what's his name? Oh, the pirate guy. He goes to Flea Bottom and he finds our friend Gendry. He's not dead. Another character in this Game of Thrones that is not dead. It's amazing. I love that they didn't just leave us hanging. I thought towards the end of the season, or since we're getting towards the end of the series, they might never pick that storyline back up, because if I remember right, and I could be wrong about this, you'll have to let me know. The last time we saw him, he had just escaped and he just wandered off in a rowboat somewhere. So now we finally get to see where he's been, and all this time he's been in King's Landing working as a blacksmith, just making swords and hammers and shit. So good for him. I think he's going to come in handy. He ends up being on the team that's going to go through the wall. I keep wanting to say over the wall, because typically when you're going somewhere you climb over a wall, but this wall is like 8,000 feet high, so they're not going over it, they're going under it. Let me see. I think I got all the points here that I wanted to make. Samwell. Samwell leaves the Citadel. So he overhears the other maesters talking about this raven that Bran has sent to try to warn them about the dead marching on Eastwatch. But they kind of just think that Bran is they think he's on crack. They think that he's lost his mind, that he's seen too much of Winter, and that he's just lost it. Which I guess is understandable, but because Samwell gets to overhear them, he tries to stand up for Bran and say, no, this is a real thing, this is why I'm here, I'm trying to figure this out, find out how we can stop this from happening. And they kind of just look at him like, well, that's a good story. But, it's just a story, it's not real, and nothing you can say really is going to change our minds. So it's at that point that Sam decides that he's not going to get the training that he needs in the amount of time that he needs it by being at the Citadel. This program that the Citadel has set up, it's meant to take years, and he doesn't have years, and he understands that. So he decides to take it upon himself to borrow the most important books and scrolls that will help them, and packs up his family and is going back north. In this episode, they don't really say where north he's going, just that he's going back north. And in this episode, too, we find Sam's girl. I can't remember her name. I'm really bad with names. Is it Ginny? I feel like it's Ginny. Something with a G. It's a weird name. I should have written it down. Written it down? I know English. Anyway, she is practicing her reading, and she reads a passage out of one of the Maester's private diaries that reveals Jon's parentage, and it doesn't really sink into Sam at that point that that's who she's talking about, but I think that that's going to come back pretty soon, and we'll find out that everyone will find out who Jon's parents are and what position that leaves him in. And that he doesn't have to be elected a king, that he kind of really is a king. And they've been treating him really shitty. I mean, they tried to kill him. They did kill him, and then he was brought back. So for everyone who's ever tried to kill Jon, that might not be so good for them. So this episode closes with the expedition through the wall, said it right that time, so that they can go catch the White Walker. The next episode is Beyond the Wall. Makes sense, right? So I hope that you guys are enjoying this. I'm enjoying doing it. Only 2 episodes left to go over this season. I'm so sad that it's coming to a close and that we have to wait until 2018. I'm gonna have to look up the actual date that it's coming back, because I might have to start a countdown or something. It's sad, But I'm happy that everything is going along, and I've been really excited about this season. Last season, I feel like it kind of lulled for a minute, but this season's like, there's no downtime. There's no point where I am not on the edge of my seat, or throwing something at the TV, or screaming at the TV, or on the edge of my seat screaming and throwing things at the TV. So it's been really fun. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think, and I will talk to you about Beyond the Wall real soon. Bye.